really a pleasure to be here. My name is Laura Cyrus, and I'm the Senior Director of Industry Training and Outreach with an organization called Truckers Against Trafficking. And we are working to raise up a mobile army of transportation professionals that can assist law enforcement in the recognition and the reporting of the crime of human trafficking in order to aid in the recovery of victims and the arrest of their perpetrators. We provide industry-specific training free of charge to the trucking, bus, and energy industries, and it is equipping those frontline people to help us in this work. And we do this because each year, tens of millions of people across our world, and thousands upon thousands here in the United States alone, many of them women and children, are forced to live a horrific reality, and that is being victims of human trafficking, which includes forced labor and forced sexual exploitation. In the case of forced sex trafficking, victims are coerced from their homes, off the streets, out of our schools and our foster care system, and into the sex trade, being raped, beaten, and tortured on a daily basis so their pimps can earn money. Sex trafficking victims find themselves in situations they literally cannot get out of. This is the reality of human trafficking in our country and in our communities. Unfortunately, it's such a local crime, and it is indeed modern-day slavery. At Truckers Against Trafficking, we have now trained over 1.5 million people with our materials, and the industries that we work with continue to prove that they are activated by and invested in this mission alongside us. Truck drivers alone continue to make countless calls to local law enforcement and the National Human Trafficking Hotline that continue to recover thousands and thousands of victims in the United States alone. CDL holders everywhere can be actively engaged as everyday heroes, as change makers, helping to discover and disrupt human trafficking networks all across North America. They are able to keep an eye out for the red flags of this potential crime and be in a position to act. They become freedom drivers, helping to end the trauma, the hardship, the pain, and the exploitation that these victims continue to endure. And it is what motivates me and my small team to continue this work. Tonight, I am here not only to applaud the efforts of all of the everyday heroes out on our roadways, but in particular, we are going to recognize one amazing change maker who is here with us this evening. Several years ago, TAT created our Harriet Tubman Award, which seeks to celebrate the real-life change makers out there that are acting and intervening on behalf of those victims that are either caught in trafficking situations or could potentially be exploited. We accept nominations for this award throughout the year, and we try to make our selection for our winner toward the end of first quarter. And so I would encourage you to check out our website to read the amazing stories of our past winners and to read about this award more in general. But if you are a company that is utilizing the TAT training and you know of a driver that has made a call, that has helped someone out of a situation like this, I would encourage you to nominate them. And if you're not currently training with TAT materials, check out that card on your table and please speak with me about how you can incorporate the TAT training if you're not already. I have to say thank you to our partners at Protective Insurance, who since 2018 have helped elevate this award to be something that it never could have been without their help. They're the title sponsors. They graciously invite us to be part of this beautiful event and to use this platform to help celebrate the work and our winners. And so we couldn't say thank you enough to Mike, to Matt, Jeffrey, all of your entire team. Just thank you so, so much. But without further ado, I am now honored to announce the 2023 winner of the Harriet Tubman Award, and I would like to call to the stage Joe Aguayo and tell you a little bit about his amazing story. Like Harriet Tubman, he helped create a pathway to freedom for someone who needed it most. So would you please join me and help me welcome Joe to the stage. This story is amazing. In mid-September 2022, Joe, who's a professional driver with WinCo Foods, was driving in an area of the country known for its hot springs and for very limited cell phone service. As he rounded a curve, he saw a woman standing near the fog line of the highway. She was staring up at the mountains. Her head was shaved. She had nothing on except a beach towel. It was evening time, there were no cars, there were no other people around, and Joe knew that something was not right. Obeying an explicit company policy which prohibiting unapproved riders in his truck, Joe continued on his way, but fully intending to help that woman. On this extremely remote stretch of road, he had to drive an additional 10 minutes or so until he came upon the next police call box, placed every so many miles along the highway to compensate for the lack of cell service. Pulling his truck over, he utilized that call box, he alerted authorities, described the woman and her location, and then continued on his way, not knowing the outcome of the situation, but being confident that he had done what he could to help. A few months later, driving along that same stretch of road, Joe had a weather-related accident, and the trooper that was assisting him, Joe was conversing with him and asked, hey, what happened to that woman that was found near the hot springs a few months ago? To his surprise, the trooper that was assisting him had also assisted that woman and was amazed to be reunited with the person that had placed that call. The trooper related that when the woman was recovered and brought to his location, she identified as being a 27-year-old Indigenous woman and a victim of human trafficking. She exhibited behavior consistent with having been drugged. She was in very rough shape. She mentioned that she was from an area nearly 3 hours away. The trooper transported her to a hospital where she was kept for several days before being released and issued a caseworker. Joe also learned that same day, the same day that he had made that call, an earlier call had come in reporting a naked woman wandering around the hot springs. But when law enforcement had responded at that time, they were unable to locate her. Law enforcement reported that this was the second Indigenous woman that was a victim of human trafficking found naked in this area. The first was reported 2 years earlier in the same month and in the same circumstances in the exact same location. Law enforcement now believe that the remote location, coupled with the limited access to cell phone service, has made this area a prime dumping ground that predators continue to use. The investigation of this entire event is continuing to be ongoing. The trooper told Joe that he absolutely saved that woman's life. Had he waited until his own cell phone had service again and not used that roadside call box, her story likely would have definitely ended differently. WinCo Foods began rolling out the TAT information and materials in the summer of 2022. Having now connected the dots between his experience, the issue of human trafficking, and the fact that that area has been identified by law enforcement as a dumping ground, Joe has told me that he wonders how many other cases may have been missed over the years. Joe, your actions in that moment truly saved that woman's life and helped assist her in getting to safety and hopefully moving on to a life of recovery. Therefore, on behalf of Truckers Against Trafficking, I am so delighted to name you as the recipient of our 2023 Harriet Tubman Award presented by Protective Insurance and present you with a check for $2,500. Congratulations and thank you again. Would you please join me in applauding the work of this amazing organization?